calculated one for that matter.
Mm. So in business,
Sure.
it's better you don't go alone, but you go in maybe with probably your friends. You come up with a business idea and you try to see how you can work it out as a group or maybe as a people in terms of partnership. Even if you have the idea, is it more advantageous to venture into a business as people because it cushions the loss or what?
I would say yes. I would say yes. It's better to go in as a group, uh, but it may not be the case, or it may not be favorable from the beginning. Because when we talk about venturing into an idea, one of the important aspects is experience. So sometimes you may begin on your own, just to survey the market and the trends of the business. All right. So sometimes you may go in alone, or sometimes you may have a friend who has already gone in. There are two people here. One who has already gone in and one who is outside, but willing to go in because they trust the process that this particular friend of mine has gained enough experience for us to trade. Okay? So when you are the two, when you are two or more, what it actually does is that it does not only cushion the impact of profits or losses, because it depends with how you have registered your company. Here we will talk about the legality of companies. There are people who are registered as sole traders, and others are registered as a partnership, where two people come together to invest. And there are others that have registered as public limited companies. Within public limited companies, there are those that are called private public limited companies. And that is where we fall in as pocket elite. So meaning, as pocket elite, we can have individuals come in to invest. We draft up a contract of how we are going to work together. Sometimes if they are becoming part of us, we give them the skills, we give them the necessities belonging to the company, and later on we begin to trade. They begin to trade together as a shareholder in the company. And others come in as investors. They put in their money, and later on when it grows, they get their dividends. Dividends means the profits that are shared after a particular time from those people that put in their money. Okay, so it's always better that way because you are saved in a lot of things. You can't work from end to end and expect to produce tangible results. It's always better to be a team because with different strengths. I'll give you this practical example. Those that have sorry, I'll be discussing some of the ways of how we conduct business. We as loan companies, you realize that the people or the officers that are involved in the issuing and the marketing out of the loans have got very different strengths and characteristics from those that come to collect collaterals when you default. Right? So you're going to have this particular marketing agent with a smile, okay? This particular agent with a smile, and this just is a representation of the power of a team. Because when you are starting, understand that you cannot have a workforce. You can't employ people when you are uncertain of how much you'll be making and how much you'll be paying them. So definitely from the start, we understand that most people choose to work for themselves. So when we talk about strength, you're looking at this particular friend of mine with regards to the business we are venturing in. What strength role are they going to bring in? So you're going to have this particular individual like me who's going to smile to you, talk to you properly, because I know that you want to get the loan. But at the end of the day, when you default, there will be another person with quite a different character from me that is going to confront you on the collection of collateral. So I may be smiling like this, yet the person who is coming to collect the collateral may be too legal, talking about legal matters and court cases and defaults and everything if you try to be funny or if you got money through false pretense. So this is where the power of a team is. And it goes back to the earlier principle I talked about, the power of unity of purpose, two different or more or two different people coming together to make a goal get achieved, So that is where the power lies.
Mm-hmm. No, thank you very much. Questions can be coming in. I will allow us to open our mics. We are very soon. We're going to be done. Just in a few minutes after the questions. Open your mic if you're having a question. Dr. Arts, you can kindly read the questions for us. Dr. Arts. All right, I'm going to read the questions. Q, how can someone, okay. Dr. Arts is quite in a noise place. Q, how can someone overcome the anxiety that comes when investing fortunes? And is there any insurance available for the capital invested? Questions can be coming through. Okay. So there's a question here: how can someone overcome the anxiety that comes with investing fortunes? And is there any assurance when you
Okay,
invest
so
money?
okay, so with regards to that question, I'll tell you, brother, is it a brother or sister that has asked? What's the name again of the person?
This question was coming from Dr. Arts.
Okay, Dr. Arts. So, Dr. Arts, with regards to investment, I'll tell you that it's not about, there's no, when it comes to investment, there's no surety of profit or loss. What is actually important is the work that is being put in, and also the experience, most especially for starters. As a starter, you know, if you have heard of this term, I heard this from a very renowned business tycoon who once said, if you are going to go into business with a profit orientation, you are likely to be kicked out due to its hardship. But if you go in to become part of the process, you actually come out with resources you never projected. Okay. So what this simply means is that even for every business, we must take into account that there's always a loss and there's always a profit. Okay, so when you are trying to make an investment, what is just basically important is to observe the investment you want to venture into, most especially if you are not entirely in charge of that kind of investment. If there are people that are managing it, you just have to have a sealed contract with them to make sure that in case of legal matters arising, you will be defended with your money. But I want to tell you this: when you are investing as part of the company, most especially in a limited company does not give guarantee of profit or loss. What it gives guarantee to is the transparency of operation. All right. So they are going to work in their best possible way. But if you have invested in them, there is no guarantee to say I must have my money multiplied. Sometimes it may be multiplied by a little profit. Sometimes it may be by a big margin. All right, because they are a limited company. Okay.
Yes.
But if you are to engage into a partnership, there you have the entire power to make sure that you are making a profit. And even the challenges that you are going to experience, they will be visible to you. You will know them as you are working because you are just two people. And then if you are going to if you are going to invest into a sole trader, a person who is just working on their own, there is no much proper systems. Okay, there are no much proper systems. This is just an individual working, and you decide to put in money. So you are just actually giving a person money on a contract. You have to agree somewhere to say you're going to return this much, or out of this and this is what you're going to do. So there are different kind of companies that you can invest in. So you have to be sure of what you're investing in before you put in money. Least you expect more or you expect less. But what is more important is the process. Because when you are engaged in a process, regardless of which is which in between, if it's a sole trader you're investing in, a partnership, or a limited company, if you are part of them, if they give you a privilege of working within there, you'll be learning the process. Okay? Besides the profits, you'll be learning the process. And when you learn the profits, and you will be able to tell where they're making more profits and where you are making losses. From there, you can judge to say, okay, should I continue being part or should I pull out? Mm-hmm. So that is where it is. So the anxiety, with regards to anxiety, it will never move out, because whenever money is involved and trade is there, you can never be sure of the fruits of profit or loss. So you expect anything. What you just have to do, most especially if you are directly linked to the labor or directly linked to the workforce that is involved in making sure that the company is running better, you just have to put in your best and keep on pushing for agendas that are going to increase profit. Otherwise, the anxiety has got no formula of getting out. It is risk, and there are a lot of uncertainties, and that is why people who are too scared of losing face challenges when it comes to going into entrepreneurship or investing, rather. They will always have second thoughts because of the news in the market, because they are looking at these individuals that are saying, okay, we can make a profit or loss, and eventually those that have invested will meet their luck in the process. So that is how is it. That's how it is. There will be no time that you kick out the anxiety entirely. You just have to be bold enough to make sure that you are convinced that this project or this particular activity I'm engaging in as investment will yield results. And sometimes it is always advised that invest the amount of money you are willing to lose. Okay? Invest an amount of money you're willing to lose. Do not get your entire hope, your entire standing on to put into investment. Once it's lost, you'll be down. So you invest gradually so that you are given room to observe on how the business is flowing.
No, thank you very much. Thank you very much, Mr. Morris, for that insights, for those insights. So there's another question here. Another question is coming from this is Miss Noria. You have mentioned that it is better to venture into business with some companion, but what if you don't have any, or maybe they don't believe in your idea, or maybe you cannot find anyone interested? How can you do to establish your business? Or strategy can be,
right.
what strategy can be used in those regards?
Good question, Honoria. I'll tell you that there is also some quote on the market, on the market of leadership and business that says you can argue with words, you can't argue with results. Okay, you can argue with words, you cannot argue with results. And somehow that quote or that saying can be infiltrated into the belief that people place on us with regards to ability, because the only thing that is going to keep people away from investing in us is their uncertainty of thinking we may not achieve anything at the end of the day. So that is where you, as an individual who is convinced about the business, is supposed to start from. From the place of unbelief, that's where you should start from. To make sure that you invest in your resources. It's okay to start alone. You invest in your resources, you begin to grow progressively. Later on, and I'll tell you this. I talked about, if you have reminded me that I talked about partners. Even these companies that we're having standing that we were in the same circles with, we have actually people that we have just met along the way, but because of believing in the same things, we have actually come to terms and we are doing business together. So what is important is not to wait, just merely having a business idea on paper saying, I want to embark on this. Because business on paper is different from business in reality, you can make a profit out of the paper because you're just going to write, I will order these stuffs and I will sell them at such a price. But once you get into the business, you realize to say there are certain things that you did not consider that are going to chew out from your profits and actually lessen the income in the process, So it's always better to start. Or even those that are around you now begin to realize that this particular person is actualizing what they are advocating for, or what they are preaching, or what they are claiming to be, or what they are saying this company can grow up to, and eventually they will begin to invest in. We have had people that actually we couldn't work with because there were a lot of uncertainties, and even right now, if I'm to tell you that we have friends and colleagues that we are working on something, but earlier on we couldn't work on something, but now we are projecting something that we can grow together with. These are people that once said, no, this kind of a business may bring this kind of a business may be hard in this way. But now, because they have seen we are forging ahead, okay, and we have operated for some few years, they know that business is about belief. So they have come in and we are working towards achieving things together. So don't just wait for people to believe in your idea. You have to embark on it, and progressively they are going to be convinced to say this is a real deal.
There's a question here, so we'll just do a quick one because time, we don't want to keep people for a long time. So there's a question here: how what business ideas that can generate maybe money, just to summarize the question, from 10 kwacha, ranging from 10 kwacha to 100 kwacha, that is $10. Is it $1 to $10, right? I'm using maybe it's $5. In Zambian currency, it's $5 to $20. What type of business can someone invest into to hit some profit? And there's also another question here, which is saying how best can I identify the opportunities that are likely to generate more profit? So, Mr. Morris, you can just give us a quick one, so that by the end of the day, we don't keep. We understand that people are very much busy, they were held up. They created time to join the meeting, so respecting their time.
Okay, so with that person that talked about that kind of money, that is $5 maybe to be medium. We cannot really spot out the business that money may generate income in, but it takes your personal conviction to spot out where you can put that money and grow it. So basically, when we talk about investment, we're not talking about sectors or selectively picking sectors that you should invest in with regards to the amount of money you have. No, we're talking about making sure that that money grows. So you can invest it in anything so long it's growing. Later on, your aspirations on where you want to go into, or which fields you feel best fitting in, you're going to go in there by the amount of money that you raise from there. Remember, also capital plays a role in what field you want to go into or what sector you want to go into, but there's always a business for every amount of money. For example, I'll tell you that when we talk about 100 kwacha, you're talking about ordering airtime. We must also learn the culture of starting small, because we can't start big without resources, right? And that is one thing that is actually holding us back. We have to learn the culture of starting small, mastering the process, and then making an income at the end of the day. Then the second question, Comrade, you can just rephrase it. Second question.
How can one identify opportunities that can generate profit?
I heard the key word there, which said something like huge profits.
Yes, it's generate more profits, like an opportunity.
I think it takes,
that we're going to tackle.
Okay, I think it takes just personal involvement. You know, we still go back to relationships. You can't understand anything with regards to the business world when you don't have people who are actually players in them. You know, that's the more reason why once we know which field we want to go into, we need to start sourcing people that are in those fields. Ask them basic questions that are not actually directing to say you want to join, but just for, you may ask in the form of understanding. You understand many people who are in fields may not be friendly enough to explain to us on how they are thriving in those businesses. But when you're asking in parts, you create an opportunity of self-interpretation from observation. So you ask this, and then you're going to observe with reality of what they're doing. From there, that's when you're going to realize if this particular person has invested in here, and looking at how they are growing up, you know, how they are coming up and how they are operating, you'll be convinced from there to say, I can invest in that. But again, I'm in disagreement with having a notion of profits. Huge profits should never be, because the huge, most of these businesses that have got huge profits also come with larger responsibilities, and also they place a lot of risks when it comes to the money that you invest in. So it's always better just to begin from anywhere that will offer you an opportunity to learn the skill, to learn the process, to learn the system, all right? Okay, because we have a lot of scams right now that are standing out and saying, if you put in money in such a way, you're going to yield profits within such a few months or period of time, and then you have a lot of profit. So that one is I'm skeptical about huge profits. I would rather trust the process of a system than the profit itself. Mm-hmm. So you can invest anywhere, regardless of the profit. Just master the system.
Mm-hmm. So any last remarks that you can give to us youths that are aspiring to become well-established, financially independent people? Any last remarks that you would like to advise the youths on, maybe how to go about it?
Okay, I think my last few words would be, you know, guys, let's have a stronger belief system when it comes to our ability. Let's not doubt ourselves. We should remove this this age perceived success syndrome, that maybe we can only achieve certain things when we reach a certain age. Normally, I was asking, I'm quite inquisitive when it comes to these things. I was asking the PACRA officers, which is the agency that registers companies here in Zambia, about their statistics with regards to people owning companies. So here in Zambia, you realize that most people register their companies quite late, in their 30s, in their 40s. But I will urge you that on the company of conviction or in the sector of your conviction, register earlier. It's only about 350 to register a company, cleared with a name and given a certificate, and then you go to a board that regulates that. So you can own a company even here in Zambia or anywhere else. I'm sure it's the same laws that apply to many countries. You can own a company, then later on you start figuring out what products and services you'll be offering. We have to trust the process. India is actually adding to its economy just by having many people in trade. And that's what we should be, We should compete with these guys who are big. We should compete with these guys, even from our smallness. We should compete from there and aspire to grow into those bigger industries that we have. It is quite shameful, and I feel bad about it. And it's one of the convictions that taught me and my friends that we do business with regards to these financial institutions that are giving these services in our country. They are not, most of them are not even our nationals. So that is a clear indication of saying we are not in charge of our finances. We are not in charge of our finances. So we have to be engaged in whatever sector that you are in. Most especially if you're from Africa, you realize that the bigger players in those sectors are actually coming from the Western countries. So we have to wake up. Let's begin to master the process. So at that time, when we are going to have enough resources, we will actually have the experience, because nothing beats ability. Nothing beats ability. If you are able, you will do. We have people who are growing up now into big ages like 55, and they're getting their pensions, yet they have got no single business plan that they can invest in. So the only thing that comes in them is to chew the money and spend it on the comfortability of the age. But if you have the business plan, whenever the money is going to meet you, at 40, at 30, at 50, you are going to be certain on where to channel that particular money, and you'll make millions of money from there. Why? Because you have already mastered the system, and you are able to take care of it. And just for the recommendation, comrade, if I can go on with the recommendation, I would just advise friends to make sure that in your free time, you can read these few books that I will tell you. You can read, some of you might have read them, and for those that have not read them yet, or maybe you have it and you have felt lazy to read it, to read them actually, you can just go on and peruse through the knowledge that lies in the following books that I'm about to mention. You should read Rich Daddy, Poor Daddy by Robert T. Kiyosaki. That book, you must read it in fullness. Read that book in fullness. Of course, these are opinions and knowledge of individuals, but I'll tell you that they actually work. They work. They also read The Richest Man in Babylon by George Samuel Clason. The Richest Man in Babylon is also a good book. Some of you who have read it, or maybe you have read it in perils, please read it in detail. It's quite helpful. You should also read this last book, which is quite important for a person to cultivate a culture of investment. The book, which is called Buy the Future. If you fail to read the two books that I mentioned earlier, please, you can read the last one, Buy the Future by Mensa Otabil. It talks about people that think about the present and people that think about the future. If you're a Christian, you know the story of Esau and Jacob. Sure, so you know that story, and this book will amplify your knowledge about that particular subject. Thank you so much.
What a great book, Buy the Future. It opened my mind. When I read it, I said, this man, I went on and searched for more books of him. Mensa Otabil. So
it's an excellent book.
So it is really an honor to see that you have stayed all this far just because you wanted to hear the wisdom from our speaker. We really appreciate, and we are sorry for holding you too long, but we know that the experience was very much overwhelming. And I personally have learned a lot, because I'm thinking now, who should I partner with to make sure that I invest my resources, in different aspects of life, in different spheres of life. So thank you very much. We really appreciate. See you next time. And if you have not followed the account, the Facebook account of Mr. Moris' Pocket Elite on Facebook, make sure you just pass through his page. And he also runs the leadership page. Kindly tell us your leadership page that you run, Mr. Moris, so that the people can follow you on Facebook.
All right, that is Moris Muvita Mutumba Leadership. That is Moris, that is more not Muvita, that is Moris Mutumba Leadership. It's just a page, and on there you'll be able to see me. If you've seen my face on this platform, you'll be able to recognize me.
So thank you very much for those that that have attended the meeting. Let us continue interacting, and let us continue. If at all you have not gotten any contacts, follow the Valas page. We'll make sure that we post each and every detail of Mr. Morris. Let us interact. Let us grow business ideas, and let us generate money. Yes.
1 minute. I'll tell you that on this platform, amongst the attendants, we also have my eco partners in Pocket Light Financial Solutions. So we have Joseph Mwemba Jalata there, very attentive to the meeting. Thank you so much, sir, for attending. These are all my partners, and we are together on the board of directors for Pocket Elite.
Yes,
I'm
Mr.
grateful.
Jalata would want to see you. Eh? Say something, sir. Mr. Jalata.
I'm seeing him making an effort. He may just. Okay.
You know, it's something that is very much encouraging to see people, you know, doing great things like this. I'm telling you the truth, the future is truly guaranteed. So thank you very much. Have a good evening. I think Mr. Jarata is Mr. Joseph is finding difficulties with Mr. Jalata is finding difficulties with opening his audio.
Yeah.
Yes, it's connecting. So we really appreciate. Have a good night, and make sure that we connect. Let us make sure that we cultivate the friendships, the relationships that we're having into something that is going to add value to our lives. Thank you very much. If you have not followed the Valas page, please kindly follow the Valas page and invite your friends, because wisdom, understanding all comes by sharing and sharing ideas. And we have gotten different books that Mr. Morris has read, and he has recommended some. Imagine if we never attended. So let us continue connecting. Thank you very much, Mr. Morris. We really appreciate for your time, for your insights that you have provided, and we'll share the recording to you guys that who have attended. We thank you so much for the CEOs that attended today's meeting. We really appreciate. We might not mention your name, but just know that we truly appreciate due to time. Till next time, the Valas manifesting the hidden you.
Thank you.